Now I know I've made tons of videos about worst movie of all time, worst game of all time, blah blah blah. And I don't want to just make those videos, but I feel like my soul can't truly be put to rest until I talk about this fucking game. Now, I have talked copious amounts of shit for Devil May Cry 2. Originally, I had an old ranking video of the Devil May Cry series, which, honestly, I don't stand by anymore. I've grown. A lot of these games have grown on me after I've started playing them a bit more. And I'm actually currently going for the platinum on all the games. And I'm in the middle of the third game. 1, 2, and 3, I was really harsh on. 2 is completely warranted to be harsh on. 1 and 3, I was a little too harsh on, and then 4, I was just talking about how mediocre it was, which I do stand by. I still think that game is incredibly mediocre. I mean, you can watch that video. It's an older video. It's definitely not very good. I didn't script it. I was just kind of talking out of my ass, like I am right now. But I feel like, personally, I don't stand by all those opinions anymore. A lot of my opinions have changed since then. But one of them that hasn't changed is I still, to this day, think Devil May Cry 2 is an awful game. And I know all the apologists are like, oh, but the game only had like 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. I don't know. I hear multiple different answers for how long this game's development cycle was. But like, oh, it only had this long. It's a miracle that it's even playable. No, it's a miracle that my eyes didn't fucking fall out of their sockets when I was playing it. Because goddamn, who thought some of this was a good idea? I don't want to bully the dev team because I know making this game is hard. Making an entire game in less than a year, that's fucking hard, okay? If you know game development and if you know computers and making animation and do all that stuff, you know that just doing something simple, like maybe just like moving an arm or something, it's way harder than it looks and it's a lot more time consuming, especially when you're under time constraints. But I don't think a lot of the issues with this game are from a lack of time, but a lack of brain cells. Let's just go over just separate categories. We got story, that one will be quick, gameplay, and then overall fun factor, and then we'll kind of list off some positives. So let's just go over the story real quick. I'm trying to not sound like a complete asshole, but whatever. The story of this game is there's a bad guy who wants to take over the world, and this grandma is like, hey Dante, can you help us? And Dante's like, yeah, sure. And then he goes and defeats the bad guy. That's it. Basically has no story. It has a general outline. There's no finer details. Nothing in the levels that happens matters. There's nothing in the levels that happen that contributes to the story or really changes much. Basically, every level is just an excuse to get from point A to point B so you can go on to the next level and do the exact same thing. The cutscenes in this game contribute virtually nothing. There's a few cutscenes with dialogue that are like actually kind of important, but those are very few and far between, and Dante himself barely fucking talks in this game, which is a real shame because I love the voice actor and I think he did a really good job, which is a stark contrast to Dante in the previous game, who wouldn't shut up. Now, I know there's like excuses for it, like, oh, this was intentional, Dante was in his depressed era. No, it's just bad writing. And speaking of Dante, his design, it's okay. I know a lot of people really love this design, and I could see that, but personally, it's not my thing. I don't love it. I am not a fan of like the weird half cape only on his legs. I think that looks kind of weird. But other than that, I like the colors. I like that they tried to do something a little different. It's not too bad of a design. I think the alternate skins suck ass.
Well, this sucks.
But I think the actual Dante design in this game is not bad. I don't mind it. I kind of went on a tangent there, but I really don't know what else to say. This game has no fucking story. There's a thing with Lucia to where like she was created by the main villain, but it comes out of nowhere and means nothing. They could have removed that whole thing entirely and literally nothing would have changed. Except maybe a few lines of dialogue.
I have children in my basement.
Alright, gameplay. This one will be short. I mean, I know at this point it's kind of like a meme to just shit on this game for how bad its gameplay is, but oh my god. The combat. What the fuck? They completely revamped the combat system, and instead of having the short pause in between every sword swing to create a different combo. So like, for example, let's say you swing your sword and then you swing your sword again and then you swing your sword again. That's one combo, versus if you swing it again, then you wait half a second and then you push the button again. It'll create a different combo. But the weird thing is that I guess they might have saw something wrong with it and changed it. I don't know why they did that. You already don't have enough time, and instead you spend time on making a new combat system that's just inferior to the first combat system? Like, why did you change this? Essentially, the way the new combat system works, like you're swinging your sword, and then you hold the stick in a different direction, it creates a different combo. But the problem with this is that if you're trying to lock on to an enemy manually, you literally can't use a forward or back combo. It just locks them out of the game because it'll just use Stinger or High Time. You spent time, in the very little time you had developing this game, making a new combat system, when you could have just spent less time, ported over the original combat system, and spent that extra time making this new one, doing literally anything else. Maybe adding something to the levels, maybe adding more story, maybe polishing up the AI, maybe making the bosses not complete shit. But instead they decided to spend time doing this? Like, what were they thinking? And you want to know the worst part? Trish has the original combat system. That's right, Trish is an unlockable character in this game. And she has the pause combo system. So what the fuck? Did you just, like, make the new combat system, realize it was shit, and you're like, alright, fuck it, we'll just use the old one. Then why'd you even use the first one in the first place? Like, what the hell? Why'd you use the new combat system if you were just gonna port over the old one for the other characters? Or at least one of the other characters? It makes no fucking sense. It just creates this weird imbalance between the characters to where it feels like Trish is honestly kind of like in a whole different game. And I'll say this, Trish is actually kind of fun in this game. I mean, it's still Devil May Cry 2, so like, shocker, it's fucking bad. But Trish in this game is honestly not that bad, and she made it a lot more bearable. But besides that, let's get the obvious joke out of the way. I'm talking all this shit about, like, the melee combat and the new combat system. There's no fucking reason to use it. Just shoot your guns. Literally, that's the entire fucking game. Look at this gameplay. Look at this fucking gameplay. You see how little I use the sword? No. How could they make something this bad? I don't think it takes you, like, 9 months or 3 months or 6 months to figure out that this is a bad idea. I really don't think it takes that long. It should take maybe about 2 minutes to look at this and go, yeah, this is complete dog shit. I don't understand how some of these ideas got past testing. Like, hey, let's make the guns stupidly broken. Yeah, how about you just don't? The gameplay is insultingly bad. I'd say, at the very least, like, as a mindless, like, run-and-gun shooter where you just walk in a room and shoot the shit out of everything, it's not the worst thing ever, but if you're just looking for, like, a mindless run in a room and shoot the shit out of everyone with dual pistols game, honestly, I would recommend Gungrave Gore. That game is definitely not a masterpiece, and it's definitely a bit of a budget title. It has its issues, but in terms of just mindless killing everything and murdering everything in cool ways, Gungrave Gore is honestly a pretty decent game. It's kind of like an arcade shooter in a way. I think Gungrave Gore is honestly kind of fun. I would recommend it just for like a quick playthrough. But moving on from that, this game it's just bad. Like, the gameplay is just bad. There's virtually nothing redeeming about it. I guess some of the animations look kind of cool, but, like, the style system is dick. What the hell did they do to the style system? It's really fucking weird, because, like, it's not based around how stylish you are. I think it's based around damage? Kind of? Because, like, it's more based around doing hits without taking damage, and the more you do, like, the higher it goes. So you could literally just use, like, dual SMGs and just spray and get, like, an S rank on a mission. I'm not fucking kidding you. That's how I got the S rank mission for the Platinum Trophy on this game. I literally just used the dual SMGs and spammed. That's fucking it. It's just so strange, and yeah, I really don't have much else to talk about the gameplay. Lucia's gameplay is pretty bad. At least you're able to hold all the weapons or all the guns at once. All the swords are exactly the same. All that melee crap is all exactly the same. I don't really have much else to say on the gameplay. This game is honestly just really bad. And then, overall fun factor. It's not fun. At the very least, I think this game it's good for a decent laugh. I could see how this game could have been good. There are ideas in this game, in things in it that I like. But it was not executed well. And I understand that a lot of this was from the lack of time of development, because it's clear they did not have a whole lot of time. I'm not saying that the developers are bad developers or anything like that, because like things like the story being incredibly lacking and the gameplay and the AI being very bare bones and just bad in general, some of that is definitely from making dumb decisions, but a lot of it is just because they very clearly did not have the time to fully refine it and test it. The AI is really bad, and I really don't think that's their fault. But the bosses, however,
You have no father.
absolutely inexcusably bad. Some of them, it's very clear they did not have time to like fully develop them. But some of the bosses, it's again, not from a lack of time, but just bad ideas. Like Trish Magia, I think is what it's called. The Three Faces boss is what it's known as. Only one of the three faces is real at a time. And the lock-on system in this game is terrible. So like whenever there's a face in your face shooting you and it's not the real one, literally just can't damage the boss at all. And you're on this like tiny ass platform where the faces just rotate, and you 99.9% of the time will never be able to use a melee weapon. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?